Results UK works on a lot of different issues, but I'm going to talk tonight about one in particular. We're working on education, as some of the other presentations have been on, but we're also working on disability. One of the big problems that we have in the world right now is that there are 67 million children out of school around the developing world. We've done well since the year 2000. That number's decreased down from over 100 million, but still 67 million children out of school. And of those 67 million children out of school, over 1/3 of them are suffering from some kind of disability, be it vision, impairment, hearing, or mobility. If we can't get these children educated, we're effectively consigning them to an absolute lifetime of grinding poverty. There's good news though. The UK government is actually the world leader in terms of spending on education and aid. The UK's Department for International Development, or DFID, in the fiscal year 2008, gave £700 million in aid money to education. And until last week, we actually looked like we were on target for spending nearly £1 billion per year on aid to education. So there's some fairly large amounts of money involved here. If we can look at moving our government spending on aid to education by just a few percentage points, we're talking about millions more pounds being directed to some of the most vulnerable children on the planet so that they can get educated and have a chance of a happy life. One of the things that we did was we started to look at DFID spending on education. We produced this report that you see on the right there. It showed that they've got really good policies, but this is my favourite graph in the whole report down the right-hand corner there. It shows that despite 1 in 3 children being that are out of school suffering from a disability, the spending in Tanzania, for example, less than 0.25% of their spending is actually going on places for disabled children getting into school. So DFID is currently not really prioritising this. As a result of this report being published, DFID actually issued this guidance note that you see on the right. It's the first one they've ever done, which went from their policy team to their country offices, actually saying to them how they should be approaching getting disabled children into school. So Results doesn't just write reports though. We're at our heart an advocacy organisation, similar to 38 Degrees that we heard about earlier. But what's unique about Results is the way that we engage with our volunteers here in the UK. Now, we don't run projects in the developing world. What we do is we work with ordinary citizens here in the UK and we educate them about these issues, giving them the key headline numbers that anybody can easily grasp. But then we equip them with skills and training so that they can really get involved in the political dialogue and in the debate and become involved in producing some of the policy changes that are needed to solve some of these problems and get quite large sums of money going into programs that really work. So how do we do that? Every month we have what we call a briefing and action call, where we have people in 15 different cities around the UK come together in homes, all our volunteers. They're then connected to a conference call where there's an international expert on the issue is on the end of the conference call, and they get to ask questions directly of that person. We've provided them with briefing materials so they're able to ask intelligent questions and really get to grips with the issue. Then right after that conference call finishes, they then go and take a monthly action, which will be something like writing a letter to an MP, getting something published in a local newspaper. We don't just ask them to do this, we actually provide them with tools and training so that they can be effective. These are some of our volunteers here. They've given up their time to actually come down and visit senior civil servants within DFID and raise those issues directly with the people in the building there. And they're fantastic, our volunteers, because they are really drilling them at a very deep policy level on some of these issues, because we've given them that information and that training about how to do that. They're able to ask questions that we can't quite ask because we work with these DFID officials quite a lot. And they are able to ask some pretty hairy questions. They're also able to go a bit Jeremy Paxman and keep asking the same question until they get an answer. We've also been doing some work with this lady, Anne Mafula Strike. She was born in Kenya, is disabled because of childhood polio. She's actually now living in the UK. She's an activist. We helped her get a piece placed in The Guardian on International Women's Day earlier this year. And she's actually training for the Paralympics for London 2012. What we're looking for is a minimum of £5,000 to fund our work on disability and education for the remainder of the year. What are we going to do with that money? We're looking to support Anne in terms of taking action in Parliament, working directly with MPs and speaking through the all-party parliamentary group on education, which we provide the Secretariat for. But we're also really looking to engage our volunteers again later on in the year in September on education and disability, so they can meet with their MPs and push forward that issue with them and bring it up in Parliament as well. So, we have 1 more minute. That's good because I have another couple of things to say. So, what does success look like for this project? I mean, success for this really looks like the UK Department for International Development investing more of its money on education for disabled children. The really great thing about that is because the UK is seen as such a leader on international development globally, that sends a very strong signal to other countries and to their governments so that their development departments will also follow that lead and they'll be investing more money in this issue as well. Which really brings me to the sort of the summing up, which is that if there was one word to describe what it is that Results does, is that we generate leverage. We take very small amounts of money to do to generate, to try and spot the policy issues that are going to make a really big difference. We then use the power of our volunteers who give up their time to learn about these issues and work with their MPs in Parliament. And then that in turn leverages the development budget, which in turn leverages other countries' development budgets, and at the end of the day, we're getting some real results. Thank you.